How cool would that be? Just 30 times in front of as many voters as we can. And guys, I've even told Tammy, put me and you and me in front of a crowd of 200 teachers union members, probably all of whom would hate me. I'd love that kind of debate, any debate. Tammy, get in front of real voters with me. Don't be afraid. It's a wonderful thing.
I think so you get re-elected, you mentioned many times about the elections. And I think that should be commercials. I mean, you had a whole litany of half an hour
Yeah.
all the ways in which you fit from it. And I think that's important because with that, you are my representative. There are 330 million people in America. We can't all vote there. That's a democracy and vote. So we have representative government. If my representative does not want to be with me, does not want to hear me, does not care what I have to say, then I am a dictator.
She shouldn't be your representative.
And she shouldn't be my representative. And the consequence of that is the representatives who get in there, and you get this machine in there, and you get this dictatorship in there, everything falls apart, and it doesn't take long. And we won't be what we became, what the guys fought for, what that freedom is, we'll be going.
You're right. But if Tammy Duckworth did like I did, and she kept doing these every week and every weekend, and other people were filming her, boy, I think that scares her. She didn't want to do that. I mean, we had one debate on TV, and even in that debate, she called you a crackpot. She called people crackpots who believe in limited government freedom. And we will. And believe me, this is an issue. This is an issue we will keep pushing. If I'm going to lose to Tammy Duckworth, I want it to be because she and I have been in front of hundreds of thousands of voters, and the voters decided they like her better. I don't want to lose to her if she just hides. So we will keep pushing it.
And it's important because you're a representative, and it needs to be the positive side there is that she's not representing. She's not even representing the people she's hiding from.
Well, what it tells you is, it tells you that if she's elected ever, this is how she'll act once she's elected. I beat a woman named Melissa Bean who voted for Obamacare, and then she hid from the voters for 8 months after that vote. She wouldn't let people tell her what they thought about her vote. I think if you're a Republican or a Democrat and you do that, you don't deserve to win. And if Tammy Duckworth doesn't have the decency to get in front of people, not just these private parties at houses where you have to RSVP, then she doesn't deserve to get elected. And we will keep pushing that. Other thoughts, issues, questions, guys, about anything?
Joe, 20 weeks out for an election,
yeah.
Right? A whole bunch of commercials that we probably don't want to watch coming our way.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people that we all see every weekend at family parties, graduations, that are disconnected, misinformed, uninformed, whatever the case may be. I think we can do a bigger service than any commercial either party airs. If you had walking papers for us as we go out, what would your points be to A, introduce yourself to the person that might not know? If I'm going to take the time over a beer with somebody to say, I think you should take a look at Joe. We're new in the district, right? It was, the crayons came out and they kept pushing them until they got them where they wanted them to be, right? I guess we could push them back if we take that over. Just like every executive order, I believe, could be pushed back.
Yes.
If we get that. But then we lose because for the next 4 years, all we're doing is undoing things.
Yes.
Instead of making something happen. So what would you say to us?
Here's what I tell people to say about me. Because for us to win this campaign, I need people calling, emailing, and knocking on doors of friends and everybody and talking about me. And if I were talking about me, the first thing I'd say is, this guy's unlike any politician I met. He believes in term limits. He went to Washington. He sleeps in his office, on the floor in his office. He turned down his congressional health plan. He turned down his congressional pension. He gets in front of more voters than any member of Congress. The Republican establishment dislikes him every bit as much as the Democrats dislike him. He's scared to death because we're losing this country, and he wants to do whatever we can to get it back. And the way we get it back, he believes, is through freedom. You make money, it's your money, keep it, take care of your life. And I want us to get back to a small government that takes care of the truly needy. And I've put up with a lot of crap running last time and being in office now. The only reason I'm doing it is if we don't change this really fast, don't know if you've got kids. Do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
I fear for the country they're going to be in when they're our age. I fear.
They're forced to understand what this is all about because they're going to help us make a difference. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, let me ask everybody 2 questions. Give me honest answers. Honest. Honest. Don't be like a politician. Be honest. Raise your hands if you think you have all generally had a better quality of life than what your parents' generation had. Raise your hand if you think you've had a better quality of life than what your parents' generation had. Raise your hands. Every hand. Put them down. Raise your hands and be honest. If you genuinely think your kids or your grandkids' generation is going to have it better than what you had, raise your hand. Everybody look around. I've done this 270 times in front of audiences of 1,000 people and 10 people. And every time the answer is the same. Our hand goes up to the first all the time. Of course we've had it better than our parents. That's the American way. I can hardly ever find a hand to go up to the second. How sad. How tragic. Our mission in life as Americans is to want, believe, and make our kids have it better than us. And I would argue for the first time in years, if ever, we no longer believe that. That's terrible. That's what both parties have done to us. I say that as a Republican. That is especially what this president has done to us. Because a child born in the hospital down the street today, has about $54,000 in debt on his or her head. Today. Tomorrow it's going to be more. Shame on us for giving them this kind of country. You get it. I don't even know you, but I can tell you get it. Mitt Romney was speaking in front of a group of college students about a month and a half ago. And he started to try to talk about this. And maybe he doesn't get as wound up as I do, but he started to talk about this. The debt to young college kids. Do you understand what you're facing because of what we don't have the courage to do? Okay, I'm done with my presentation. Q&A. First hand that went up, sorry. No, I'll come to you. The first hand that went up to Mitt Romney on this college campus was a young woman who said, and I'm paraphrasing, oh, I guess I get this whole debt thing, but I want you to pay for my contraception. Right out of the gate. Now, you know what? That's not her fault. It should be, but it's not. She's been taught this. She's been taught this. Government will take care of me. It'll pay for all my contraception, all my health care. Student loans, I'm having trouble. Government will bail me out. We're teaching Americans to do this. And you know, it just, so, again, a very long-winded way of answering your question. I went to Washington to go after anybody who will not work with me to change this to get us back. I'll go after anybody who's a Republican or a Democrat, and I have. And so there are a lot of people that don't like me. And the final point I'll make is, I taught American government. When I'm done with politics, I'm going back and I'm teaching.
You got a lot more to teach, too.
I wanted to be an example of what a representative should be. You just go there for a little bit of time, no more than 6 years. You shouldn't enrich yourself. You know what? It should be a sacrifice. So I sleep on the office. It's not an easy job. I just go there, I work my butt off for 6 years, and then I come home, and then you go do it. Yes. And I don't want to be a rich career politician, so I turn down my pension. I don't think politicians should get a pension. I turned down my health care package, which was a great one, because They're putting Obamacare on top of the rest of us, and I think that's wrong. They live according to different rules. We got to get back to what our founders envisioned. And what our founders envisioned, folks, is anybody in this room can do what I do. My God, you know enough to know about me. There's nothing special about me. Anybody can do what I do. That's what our founders believed. You can pluck anybody off their farm, and they can go represent their neighbors, and then they come home.
Yes.
We're a million miles away from that. Because of that, we're losing this thing. This greatest experiment in the history of man, we are losing. And we're better than this. Yes, sir, and then I'll go here.
Were the founding fathers naive to think that people would just do that? No term limits? Because they were against term limits.
Oh, yeah, you know what? And again, a very different time. They never envisioned career politicians. Remember, back then, when you were a rep and you worked on a farm in Maryland, you rode off to Congress for 2 or 3 months out of the year, did your work, came back home. Next year you went and you served in the session of Congress for 2 or 3 months, came back home. Look at us now.
Right.
I'm there every week.
Writing laws like crazy.
You know, so now it's professional because government's so big that you need full-time representatives. So we're there all year. They never envisioned that. They envisioned what a lot of states have. Do you know a lot of states, their legislatures still meet every 2 years?
Yeah.
Isn't that a great thing? The less we're there, the better. The less damage we're doing. They never envisioned that. Yes, young man.
Just a quick aside to what you were talking about before. I didn't raise my hand to the first question because I don't think the standard of living has been better. I mean, you used to be able to work a summer job and get through college, and mom used to be able to stay home with the kids, and barely anybody can do that now.
Well, it's interesting getting your perspective because you are younger.
Yeah. But completely changing topics, just want your opinion on this statement. I feel that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, that I'm not going to see a penny of it when I go to retire, and why should I be forced to have to pay into it?
Avoiding a label, I agree with the second two things you said. You shouldn't be forced to pay into it, and you probably never will see any of it. None of this is hard. What's hard is politicians are afraid to make hard decisions. Okay? So we started this program called Social Security, and some of it's almost comical. When we started Social Security, 32 workers supported every retiree. 32. You know what it is now? Right now it's a little less than 2 workers supporting every retiree. And in another 12 years, 15 years, that will be flipped. I was an English major. I'm not a math guy, and I'm terrible with numbers. But that seems like basic math. We're going to have 1 worker supporting 2 retirees. It can't sustain itself. So we somehow got to get back to a program where there's always a retirement program, a government retirement program. Again, hear what I'm saying, for the truly needy. But for most of us, we're out there keeping more of our money and saving for our own retirement. It's just like Medicare, except Medicare is worse. If you think you're never going to see Social Security, you'll never see Medicare. Medicare, every politician in D.C., from Obama to Walsh, knows with certainty that Medicare is going to be gone in 8 to 10 years. I want to say that again so everybody understands. It will be gone. So, something needs to be done, right? And you got Tammy out there saying he wants to end Medicare as we know it. Obama's saying the same thing. They're just trying to scare seniors. Something needs to be done. And we need to somehow get back to a program where Medicare is there for the truly needy. Remember, when we started Medicare in the 60s, it was a program for the needy. Fast forward 50 years, like everything government does, it grows. Now Medicare's taking care of everybody. You got my mom and dad living in a fancy retirement home in Barrington, living on Medicare. We just can't sustain it because we have 10,000 people retiring every day in this country. Guys, this isn't hard! And the Democrats know this. They don't